What's up, metalheads? This is Bill Reviews Metal right here, and today we're going to be reviewing the classic album, even though it's only been out for 11 years, called Toxicity by System of a Down. Came out in 2001, a week before September 11th, and it is one of my favorite albums ever, and System of a Down is, coincidentally enough, one of my favorite bands ever. Today on this review, I have a special guest, the man who introduced me to System of a Down, my brother Robby. Say hi, Robby.
Hi, Robby. I love this album. It's a lot of fun. As Bill mentioned, it came out a week before 9/11, and once it did come out, it created a lot of controversy because of what happened on 9/11. Generally, I think people are sensitive. They pulled everything that was close to controversial at that point, including aerials. You know, some of the lyrics in the song were not suggestive of 9/11. Obviously, they can't predict the future, but people were sensitive, so it did create a lot of controversy, but the album overall is a tremendous one, front to back.
Definitely, and we're just going to get right into the track listing here. So the first song is Prison Song, and one thing about that is great, that I really love about System of a Down is their lyrics. They're very political, and they point out things that are wrong with our society. This one, particularly the Prison Song, as you can tell by the name, it basically between actual singing and the chorus, which is basically they're trying to build a prison over and over again, and some awesome drums and guitar in it, and then the other part of the vocals during the choruses is basically just Serj Tankian, the lead singer and main writer for System of a Down. He is just basically rattling off the statistics about how our incarceration system in the U.S. has failed.
Yeah, he did a lot of homework, a lot of research, if you will, on the whole prison song, if you will, and one of the things he found was that there was mandatory minimum sentences for things like, you know, minor drug offenses and things like that, that really, in his opinion, and, you know, the majority of others in the country say, well, why do you need to stick somebody in jail and have our tax dollars or somebody's dollars that could be spent elsewhere spent on them? So, you know, a little bit of social commentary, never hurt anybody. They slipped that into just great music, so it goes well. It isn't just getting beat over the head with the same old stuff. So it's kind of nice to see that. And I love, especially, my favorite part of this song is the drums from John Domayan. I mean, he's just a great drummer overall. Fits in really well with the sound of the band, and his double bass is sweet.
Yes, John Domayan is the drummer for System of a Down, Serj Tankian is the singer, and sometimes when they play live is a guitarist. Darren Malakian is the guitarist, and Shavo Odagian is the bassist. As you can tell, those names are a little hard for me to pronounce. They're all actually Armenian American, or at least have that Armenian ancestry in their blood. So that's pretty cool. In the 1919 Armenian genocide after World War I is a topic that's frequently discussed in their music. Anyway, moving on to track 2, Needles. As far as I can tell from the lyrics, it's a basic just drug addiction song, I guess. Heroin or cocaine or something.
You've got to pull the tapeworm out of your ass. That's the whole premise of this. Basically, we're not going to get too much into the meaning of every song because then this would be a long and boring review. What I love about Needles is it's just really, really schizophrenic, really crazy, all over the place.
Yes.
When I want to be surprised by music, I listen to heavier music because a lot of the talent in, you know, especially in guitars and things like that, is in heavier music. And when I go, whoa, where did that riff come from? Where did this come from? I'm surprised and usually excited by something heavy. So I like that.
Yeah, me too. It definitely starts off pretty, you know, schizo, like you said, with this cool pull-off riff, and then the rest of the song just is crazy and diverse from there. Next song is one of my favorites on the record. It's called Dear Dance, track 3. This song, I guess, is about child soldiers, I suppose. The chorus goes like pushing little children with fully automatics, so I guess that's what that's about. And this song just totally rocks. It's just, I can't even describe how good it is.
It sounds like do 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 do,
except much heavier.
Yeah, and it sounds like a guitar. So
yeah,
you know, picture that in your mind and be blown away.
Yeah. Next song is track 4. That's Jet Pilot, and I have no idea what this song is about. It's crazy. First of all, even more schizophrenic than Needles.
Yes, and one of the things that System is also known for is lyrics that don't make any freaking sense. They have some songs that are overly political, and then on other songs they're just absolute dorks. They've been quoted in interviews, especially Darren, who is, I just think he's out of his mind sometimes, in a good way. He's good crazy. But the problem is, some of their songs just don't make sense, and they don't feel like explaining them. They want people to take their own meaning out of the songs. What the meaning that the government and some of the other people said, Jet Pilot, maybe we should pull this off the radio after 9/11. So,
yeah.
Little issues there.
Yep. Track 5 on the album is called, well, it's marked as X, but I call it Multiply because that's what they called the song in the chorus. And it was really weird listening to it. I felt kind of awkward because it was like, we don't need to multiply, so like we don't need to reproduce as a race. Like, System has lost faith in the human race or something. It's a little awkward to listen to, but once again, a really good song. Starts off with kind of a palm muted riff, and that pretty much carries the weight for the whole song. It gets less palm muted and more open. So that's that. And then number 6 is the song that everyone thinks of when they think of System of a Down, whether they listen to him or not. It's the wake up, blah, 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 make up. Except those aren't the actual lyrics. But that's Chop Suey, and it is the first song that I ever heard that my pal Robby introduced me to.
Thanks,
System of a Down.
pal. Chop Suey is quite simply my favorite song, period. End of story. I was on the way to a job that I held at the time. I was kind of bummed out that day. System of a Down totally turned my mood around. I heard Chop Suey. It was fantastic. And I said, oh my god, who is this band? And where can I get the rest of their music? Unknowingly, I will just say I somewhat found these songs on the internet somewhere. And don't sue me. And so we found these things, and I ended up listening to Toxicity on the radio, and they finally told me, the DJ finally said, oh yeah, this is System of a Down. So I said, okay, I'm going to go find everything I can about this band, song-wise. And I ended up unknowingly getting most of the Toxicity album. Chop Suey started the whole thing. It's fantastic. The actual lyrics at the start are wake up, and then wake up again, grab a brush and put on a little makeup, and then hide the scars to fade away the shake-up. So it's a little bit about some abuse, some things like that. It gets heavy, but the main thing is, it's just very, very
awesome.
Amazing, yes.
Yep, and then that's track 6. Next track is track 7. That's called Bounce.
Bounce!
Bounce! And it's another dorky kind of, well, it's not really dorky, it's just hilarious. It's a fun song, and it's only 1 minute and 54 seconds long, but they definitely use all of it. It's really simple, and it gets to the point of what the lyrics are saying, which are a little risque. I'll let you guys look them up if you really want to know what it's about. It's pretty easy to figure out.
Just think about what the pogo stick is, and it'll ruin your life forever.
Yeah. Track 8 on the album is called Forest, and this is my favorite song on the record. Definitely my favorite song. I don't even know why, but it just is. It just rocks the hardest for me. I don't know why. I don't really like the main songs that everyone knows, like Chop Suey or Toxicity.
At a certain point, some of that stuff gets overplayed, and no matter how much you like a song, if you listen to it about 300 times, then eventually you're like, okay, what else is on the album? Or what else can I listen to? And Forest is one of those tracks that kind of gets overlooked. But it really, Serge does a great job with the vocals on this one. And, again, really schizophrenic, really, crazy. But there's a lot of emotion behind the stuff that he says. So you really get kind of an intense feeling out of it. And for me, music is about feeling. And if it gives you some sort of emotion, pumps you up in this case, then it's pretty good.
Definitely. Next track is ATWA, which I guess stands for Air, Trees, Water, Animals?
Yes.
Something? Yeah.
Some of the lyrics in this one are supposedly Charles Manson related, actually. There are some things about, obviously Air, Trees, Water, Animals, but there were supposedly a situation where Darren Malakian and some of the other guys in the band actually had the chance to meet and talk with Charles Manson, who, if you didn't know, is a renowned serial killer. And we don't mean he eats a lot of Cheerios. We mean like crazy. So that's pretty interesting in and of itself. But look up those. That kind of gives you a good background on the song. This was one of the first songs that I learned to play on guitar. Somewhat simple, real nice to play, but it starts out slow. There's a lot of again, some emotion behind it. It's kind of hard to place, but it gets a little heavier, a little faster towards the end, and just one of those songs that builds up and gives you kind of a heavy feeling. It's a little sad, a little dark.
Yeah, it's a really emotional song. Quiet during the verses, really hard during the choruses, and the bridge is just awesome. Bridge/guitar solo, and yeah, it's a fun song to play on guitar too. Track 10 is called Science, and that's a really interesting song as far as lyrics go, because it says science has failed our Mother Earth, and I definitely don't agree with that, but it's still interesting to listen to their lyrics no matter what you think of them. I'm not a person that will not listen to a band because of political views. I mean, I'll listen to everyone from Ted Nugent to System of a Down, even though I can definitely not relate to some of the lyrics, but it's a really good song. It's got, you know, some harmonics in the riff and just really good stuff going on.
And it was in one of the ATV Off-Road Fury games, and that was a game that we played the heck out of. Cross promotion, check out our YouTube channel. It's Robby H14X. Two Brothers Gaming if you can't spell the rest of that. So the next one is Toxicity. That's track 12 if you're counting.
Titular track.
Yes. It is probably, I would say, you know, Bill said that Chop Suey was the most recognized one. If it's not Chop Suey, then it's definitely Toxicity that people think of when they think of System of a Down.
For sure, that game was in. No, that song was in a few music rhythm games too, like Guitar Hero and Rock Band too, and definitely aided in the popularity of that song. Those are the two most popular songs, Chop Suey and Toxicity, and the whole CD. So they're both great songs, just overplayed. So there's not much more to say about them. That was track 12. Track 13 is Psycho, which is basically about going crazy with groupies and cocaine.
It's about being on the road for a long time, according to Darren.
Yeah.
One of the best live versions of this song is from Big Day Out, 2002.
Yes.
Look it up on YouTube. The bass on that one is freaking sweet. It's just an awesome song. That's one of the things I also like about the band is I will occasionally YouTube a band or two and see, okay, well, do they suck live or not? And System is right on and gives a great live performance. If I do one thing before I die, I'm going to go see them in concert.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Anyway, last track on the CD is Aerials, and this is probably my second favorite song on the CD.
Yes, and this was the one that got pulled. This was actually the one that got pulled. I remember now. It wasn't Jet Pilot. Jet Pilot never had a video made for it. Aerials, about airplanes. A little bit of a problem right after 9/11. So I love this song. It's one of my favorites as well.
Fantastic. Really, really catchy. Although I don't like songs just because they're catchy. It's really, really deep lyrics. Not going to get into those. You can look those up yourself. But just really deep stuff. Tons of metaphors in the lyrics. And really great stuff. And there's actually a hidden track at the end. And you want to talk about that?
Yeah, it's called Der Vorgehormia. I'd probably screw that up really terribly. But it's actually an Armenian folk song. And for a lot of people of that descent, I think it's kind of cool that they threw that in there. It's really funky and really weird to probably most Americans. But it's actually an Armenian folk song. Made a lot of the people that listened to it that were of that descent, including Serge and Darren's extended family members, both had an immediate emotional reaction to it. Like, were brought to tears by it. So anytime you can have a track or anything like that move you to an emotion like that, it's definitely a powerful thing. That was the thing that I remember the most about this album overall is I could listen to it when I was happy, I could listen to it when I was mad. Usually music is about the mood for me, and it was very interesting that this CD, not only did I not have to skip any tracks, but I loved them all, listened to them over and over again. Here we are more than 10 years later, and I'm still listening to this CD like it was the first day it came out. That's the sign of a good CD.
Definitely. It's got I wouldn't call it bipolar, but it's definitely got its different lyrical topics that it's covered, whether it be a song like Bounce, which is just hilarious, or Jet Pilot or Aerials or Force, which is serious and political, some of them. So yeah, they can definitely fit any mood, and it's a great album. Some of the critics didn't like it when it came out, but since then I think it's gotten more of a following as System of a Down became bigger, probably because of this record. And it's one of the best metal albums of all time in our opinions, and I'd give it 6 out of 5 stars if I could. I don't really know if a rating could even describe this album because it's really great.
Absolutely, it's one of those ones that's very much a life changer. You can be influenced by this album in so many different ways. There's a lot of different ways that you can take some of the music. So any album that is that diverse gets a 6 out of 5 from me as well. You got to check out the rest of this channel. It's going to be really good. If you didn't catch Bill's first review of Trivium's album, you definitely got to check that out. There's going to be a ton more to come on the channel.
For sure, and actually one more thing I just want to throw in about this record is I listened to this in 2001 and I was actually only 7 years old. Well, no, it was a little while after that actually, after Robby got me into them. But I think that this album laid the foundation for heavy music and my liking of it. Anyway, we hope you liked the review, guys, and we'll see you later. Please subscribe.